Ali Baba and Cassim were two brothers. Cassim was rich and lived in wealth and plenty. Ali Baba was a woodcutter, struggling to make a living. He and his wife and children were very poor. Ali Baba was in the forest, and he saw a troop of robbers. They were hurrying past carrying bags of silver and gold. Being very frightened, he hid behind some rocks on the mountainside. He saw the robbers ride round the mountain towards a sheer cliff face. Then the leader of the robbers, a tall, cunning man, paused the company and shouted at the mountainside, "Open sesame!" To Ali Baba's astonishment, the cliff swung open and the entire troop rode into the huge cavern. The mountain shut behind them. Ali Baba was too scared to move. He stayed hidden behind the rocks. Finally, he saw the troops reappear from the mountain. The robbers scattered and ran off through the forest. Ali Baba waited. Then he approached the cliff face. "Open sesame!" he cried, and stood amazed as the mountainside opened. Very cautiously, Ali Baba crept inside the mountain. He looked around and saw a grand cavern lit from fissures in the rock. There were great heaps of silver and gold and baskets of glittering jewels. Ali Baba could not believe his eyes. He emptied the wood chips from his sacks and filled them with gold, silver, and jewels. Finally, he stood before the rock face. "Open sesame!" he cried again. The mountain sprang open. Ali Baba dragged his heavy sacks outside. He loaded his treasure on his donkey, waiting patiently by the trees. When he got home, he showed his wife the treasure. Ali Baba's family moved into a comfortable house and bought food and drink. He swore his wife to secrecy, telling her not to boast of their good luck. But Ali Baba's wife could not help boasting to her sister-in-law. She told her that Ali Baba was richer than Cassim. Cassim came to his brother and threatened him. "I will tell everyone you have stolen some treasure if you do not show me where you found it." Ali Baba, more out of kindness than fear, told him of the cave. He explained how the magic words opened the mountainside. Cassim set out with a donkey packed round with great panniers. When he got to the mountainside, he stared up. "Open sesame!" Once again, the mountain opened to reveal the cavern inside. Cassim rushed in, dragging his donkey with him. He stared at the treasure. He loaded the donkey with all the gold, silver, and jewels it could carry. Then he turned to open the doors to get out. Oh no! Shock horror! Cassim had forgotten the magic words. He tried all the words he could think of, but nothing worked. When the robbers returned to the cavern, they discovered Cassim. They killed him and cut his body into 4 pieces. Ali Baba was worried about Cassim. Why had he not come home? He decided to revisit the cavern to find out. He was very shocked to find his brother's body hacked into pieces. He collected more treasure and carried his brother's body tenderly home. Ali Baba gave Cassim a great funeral. His family moved into a large house with his brother's widow and children. The robbers returned to their cavern. They were furious. They discovered the body gone and yet more treasure missing. The chief robber decided to track down the person responsible. He heard all about Cassim's funeral and Ali Baba's new house. He sent one of his robbers to find out where Ali Baba lived. In the dark of the night, he was to draw a chalk mark on the door. Ali Baba had a very clever and beautiful serving girl. Her name was Morgiana, and she loved Ali Baba and his family. In the morning, Morgiana saw the chalk mark on their door. She guessed immediately what it meant. Morgiana drew chalk marks on many other houses in the street. No one could tell which was the house the robber had marked. When the chief robber found how his plan had been foiled, he was mad. He determined to kill Ali Baba. He waited and listened, and found out where Ali Baba lived. Then he came to visit, disguised as an oil merchant. The chief robber showed Ali Baba his 40 jars of oil. Really, only one was full of oil. The rest had robbers hidden inside them. Ali Baba took the oil merchant inside his big iron gates. He thanked him for the oil. Then he invited him to a lovely supper. While they were eating, Morgiana came out for oil. She discovered the robbers hiding in the other oil jars. When it got dark, Morgiana took out a huge pot of boiling oil. She tipped it into each of the jars containing a robber. All the robbers died or fled. The chief robber was left alone. When he discovered what had happened, he too ran away. Ali Baba realized that Morgiana was his good and faithful servant. He asked her to marry his son and to become part of his family. They all lived happily ever after together.